Hello and welcome to the Reetin Entertainment Podcast, episode 438 for February 11th, 2024. My name is Nathan Reetin-Spruth. Joining me this week, we have Connor, the Cyberpunk Monk, Besh.
It's me, I'm here. My internet was working.
Your internet is working, your computer's turning on. We have Aroa was going to be here, but he was half an hour late and then said, oh, no internet. So we're starting without him. He may join later. I, of course, am your host, Nathan Reetin-Spruth. Hey, Connor, what games you play this week? Oh, wait. So first, where can we find you?
You could find me, you could find you could find Aroa at aroa.website. And while you're there, the links that I want to draw your attention to, first is Clinton Score Classics, a Rise of the Rune Lords First Edition actual play podcast, which can be found anywhere that fine podcasts are found. Second, Shadowrun Bug City Blues, a Shadowrun 6th World Edition actual play podcast. Also found wherever fine podcasts are found. I just released an episode of that this week.
Yeah, it's doing well, I think. I think those podcasts are doing well-ish.
I haven't actually looked at the numbers, and now I'm curious. In games? You want to know what games I play?
Is there a vacuum?
Yeah, but it's off now. It's
okay.
Don't be a baby. It's okay.
Okay.
You want to know the games that I played this week?
Yes, please.
Well, you might have heard this. I'm not sure if you know about this game or not. It's called Days Gone. Have you ever heard of that? Are you familiar with that one?
No, never heard of it. What's it about?
I don't know. A bunch of jerks worked on it, though. It is a zombie survival game. I feel like it wants to be DayZ, and it wants to be The Last of Us so bad, and it's not really doing either. But for the 2 or 3 hours that I've gotten it so far, I'm enjoying it so far.
It gets better.
I keep on creeping around being like, oh, man, there's a lot of them, and if I use my gun, I'm going to get a whole bunch of them over here. So I'm like, I'll try doing it once with just my boot knife, and I'll fail. And I'll be like, okay, I'll use my gun, whatever. And then nothing happens. They don't hear it, and they don't care. It's like, oh, well, probably should have just gone in there like Rambo in the first place.
Did I ever tell you that I'm pretty good at interviews. Like, if I get an interview, I do well in the interview. But, like, I sometimes say the wrong thing. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Sure.
And when I was interviewing to work at Sony Ben Studio, I had the phone interview, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, they're working on a video game. You may have heard of it. It's called Days Gone." And I was like, I couldn't recall right off the top of my head what Days Gone was at that time because it had not released or anything, obviously. And he's like, "Oh, it's we did an E3 demo or trailer where this guy's running away, runs up a tower." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that zombie game." And he's like, "Well, they're actually called Freakers." And I was like, "Oh yeah, zombies."
I think that's the right answer. They know what's up.
Yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, basically." He wasn't working on the game, but yeah, it was funny.
What is it with people in zombie situations not being able to say the word zombie? Are the zombies' lawyers going to show up and be like, "We own the rights to that"?
I wonder if it's that they just want to, like, differentiate.
I'm sure they want to differentiate, yeah. We're not zombies, they're clickers. Yeah, they're freakers. It's just say zombie.
Or what they're called, infested, I believe, in Last of Us, something like that, or infected. Yeah, I mean, I would say give it a go. The problem with one of the problems with Days Gone is that it does start off a bit slow, but once you get like a bunch of upgrades, it becomes a lot more fun.
I'm working on it. I'm not ready to put the game down. I am playing it on my Steam Deck. So far, it's been exclusively on that. It runs pretty good on a Game Boy. Like, say what you will about Sony Studios, they know how to get their games to work on a portable system.
Yeah, part of the problem with that game, when it came out, was it ran pretty well on the PS4 Pro, but did not run very well on the PS4. They had their target frame rate of like 30 frames a second, but it would drop from that quite often, especially when you would get to a point where you're like driving and it would start loading something else. It would like the frame rate would tank for a minute and then it would come back. But all in all, I did not technically work on the game. I did IT support for the people who were working on the game, and I think it actually turned out pretty good. I don't think it deserves some of the hatred that it got when it first released, and there are people who want a Days Gone 2, but they're not gonna make it, which sucks. So
Besides that, the game that I've been playing just sort of in my back pocket has been the Mega Man Battle Network games. I
mhm.
picked these up last year and I've just been like playing them. Like in the sense of I always have my Game Boy on me. This is the Game Boy game I always have on me. Just like it was the Game Boy game I had on me like 20 years ago. Like it's fun. Nostalgia's good. I like it.
I'm happy that you're having fun. I've never played the Battle Network games. Those were
They're
Game Boy games, right?
correct. And eventually DS, and at a certain point I fell off the chain. But it's been really fun to go back to them. Like the puzzles aren't difficult because they're made for babies, but it's still enough of a wacky game that I could still find myself laughing at it.
What were the Mega Man games that released for the GameCube?
GameCube, besides like the anniversary collection, I feel like Mega Man is the Final Fantasy of Capcom games. They just keep on re-releasing them.
Yeah, they do. Because I remember going to my friend's house and he was playing a Mega Man game that was really weird on his GameCube. It might have been the Battle Network game, like via the adapter, but I'm
There
not
was
sure.
a Battle Network game for GameCube, but it only is a Battle Network game in name. Like it plays nothing like the actual series. It's an action platformer or something weird like that.
Anyway, yeah. So those are good. Days Gone and Battle Network. Did you play anything else?
Besides that, I mean, I've been kind of like tipping my toes into it. I'm considering myself in between games at this moment. I'm looking for something that'll really hold my attention. I don't think Days Gone is gonna be that, but I'm not ready to put it down just yet.
Yeah, give it. I would say give it 10 hours total. And if you don't like it by then, like that's when things start. Like you get more upgrades, so your bike can go faster, and you
Oh,
get guns that don't suck.
I did have one other game to mention. It's called Carrion. This is something they announced like I think 2 or 3 years ago, and then I totally forgot about, and I guess it already released a while ago. This is a Metroidvania game where you play as the monster instead of as the thing defeating it.
Oh
And
yeah,
I don't think I'm going to beat this game because I experienced the one trick it does, but it does that trick really well. I recommend people buy and if not beat, then at least play this game because it is a whole lot of fun.
I think it's included with Game Pass.
If it's on Game Pass, definitely I got a little over an hour with it and that was definitely worth my money there.
Carry on.
My wayward son.
Um, no, it is available to buy on Game Pass, but it is no longer available to just play it with a
It's
normal
six
subscription.
whole dollar dues on Steam right now, and I could tell you it's worth $6 reduce.
Good. I'm happy for that. I'm happy that it is cheap. Uh, we're gonna move on and talk about me, Nathan Reeton Spruth. You can find me at Reeton everywhere, mainly on Twitch, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time to 9 p.m. Pacific time, where I play video games and hang out with friends. And the games that I played this week, I played a lot of them because I always play a lot of games. The first game I played was uh, a game I did not have fun with. It's called Dungeonborn. Have you heard of this?
Mm. I, st- I stopped in and watched you play it for a little bit.
I think this is one that Oro was talking about that like NCSoft got mad. I think it was that one. Because but anyway, you're basically trying to get through a dungeon and it's really hard. It's really really hard. It's on the Steam Next Fest. So I was like, I'll download it and test it out. You get popped in, you're able to create a character, mage or warrior, rogue or whatever you want. And then you're supposed to have a group of like 2 or 3 people and not go in there alone. Because if you go in there alone, it's very, very difficult. And so I was like, okay, I'll go through play through by myself because I don't have friends. And it wasn't fun. And I was just going up against like normal goblins and like rats and stuff. And then I found out that it's a battle royale game.
Wah, wah.
So I show like I you're trying to basically just escape the dungeon. And I'm like, "Oh, another player. Wonder what's going Oh, I'm dead." And they just immediately killed me. And I will say there was one part, so I don't get flapped like I don't get startled very easily. And that this game actually startled me to the point where I actually jumped a little bit.
Just a
Not
little bit.
Yeah,
His
just a little bit.
masculinity was totally intact. Don't worry, everyone.
Just a little bit. It was because I went to go open a chest, and guess what happened?
Did something jump out and go ooga booga booga?
It was a mimic.
Ah, yeah, that actually makes a lot more.
Those motherfuckers.
By the way, Nathan, you didn't tell me that I could stab children in Days Gone. I would have picked up this game a lot earlier if you had told me that.
Oh yeah, that can happen.
But I opened up a trunk and a kid jumped out and started biting at me, and
Oh yeah,
they do not turn the camera during that execution.
they have a lot of those kids will hang out on like roofs.
Mm-hmm. And they
like,
just
try to
drop
jump-
on you. If
Yep, nope, and then you kill them. You have to kill the children on the roofs.
that's a-okay with us at the Reeton Entertainment.
Yep. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday I played some Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I got to the point where I am now a Sujimon master.
Did you beat the Elite Four?
Not yet. I believe they're called the Discrete Four.
Oh, of course. I'm sorry. Yes. Yes.
And I beat one of them. I've beaten one of the Discrete Four. Which once you beat one of the Discrete Four, the first one, you are able to get the Sujimon Master class that you can change into. I do not have the ability to change classes yet. That is unlocked in Chapter 5. And then I will be able to summon my Sujimon in battle. It's such a silly game. But so there's that. There's Pokemon Snap. There's of course darts and pool and all that jazz that you can play. They have Virtual Fighter 2 in the game that you can sit down and play the arcade version of that. Oh, it's great. I love these games. Our good friend Earl always talked about how much he loved the Yakuza games, and let me tell you, he was right. Games are great. I get it.
I'm not a big fan of beat 'em ups, and I adore these games. That is saying something.
Well, and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is turn-based, so I think you would like it just like you liked Like a Dragon or Yakuza Like a Dragon. I picked it up a couple weeks ago, and we finally were able to sit down and play. I played some Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which I had fun with, except for the times when my friend killed me twice.
Sometimes we need to do a little bit of experimentation, we need to know scientific facts, like is there friendly fire? And the answer is yes. Yes, there is.
Yeah, and so there's friendly fire at least for the vehicles, because the time you shot me was I was driving a vehicle.
Aiming at you.
Yeah. I was driving a vehicle, and I think you hit the wheel, and I
shot your tires out because I wanted you to stop, and then you careened into a river and drowned.
Yeah. And then the other time
it was a beautiful disaster.
And then the other time you hit me with a boat.
I was trying to push you to shore. I was helping.
And then you killed me.
I was helping.
So that was all right. That was fun. I don't like the UI very much.
No, it's very cluttered and overwhelming. I play with every UI element turned off almost.
Yeah, I don't like the UI. I don't like the objective, the way it's laid out. I don't know who they had working on that, but I support laying them off.
The problem with a lot of Ubisoft games is they want it to be a universal platform. They want your Breakpoint to feel like your your Rainbow Six to feel like your Far Cry's.
Mm-hmm.
And this game, Breakpoint, now that it's an open world Ghost Recon game, it's trying very hard to do all of those things at once. And I think it only succeeds in some of them.
Yeah. And the same
But I'm enjoying it. I'm still having fun with it.
The same thing can be said for Skull and Bones, which is in open beta this weekend.
I've heard nothing but negative since then. I feel so bad for them being in beta and having all of this is why you want to do a beta. You want to get this feedback, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a fun experience receiving it.
Yeah, and so AirFox and I played Skull and Bones last night, and that game was I get that a lot of people are negative on the game. I did not have fun with it. It was all right. There were a lot of things that could change. The UI sucked. Apparently, there's static coming in through
Aroa's a
Aroa's
snake.
microphone.
Aroa's a sneaky snake crawling through his Ethernet cables.
Yeah. And yeah, it was all right. Like we took down some ships. That was really fun. We were level 3 and we tried to fight a level 10 ship. And let me tell you, that didn't go well for AirFox.
Now, the question I wanted to ask, because I was running a game of D&D, I was unable to view your stream. Does that game have friendly fire, and did you guys find out?
You cannot hit each other with the cannons, but you can run into each other and hurt each other. So, like, I can run my ship into AirFox, and that'll do some damage.
Gotcha.
They do have ramming available, where you can, like, ram other ships, which is pretty cool, and, like, do massive damage with your ship hitting theirs very hard, which I had to do because I ran out of cannonballs when we were doing a boss fight, and I was like, well, there's only one way for me to get damage on this guy.
Ramming speed.
Yeah, and so I didn't hate the game. I do hate what's happening with the Rose microphone.
I can understand people hating that. It's very startling.
Yeah.
Wait, you can.
Oh, there he is.
Hey.
What do you mean?
So
Every
it's
once in a
like-
while you go, "Tss."
Oh,
Sorry, everyone. That was probably loud.
I don't know why that's happening.
I don't know either, but hi, Aroa. We already said where we can find you. What games did you play this week?
Oh, geez, now
Your fans
now
are
you're
at
getting
full
all the
speed.
noise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everything's
hold
going
on.
fine at Aroa's house.
Everything is totally cool here.
What? Did your house flood or something? What the hell?
What do you mean?
He
Like,
was
why
probably
did
just
you have
moving his
to-
computer upstairs?
Oh.
No, so those parts I was talking about, those were for me.
Ah. And are things not going so great?
Well, so you put the whole thing together, you throw your old Windows hard drive in there, and then it proceeds to not have drivers for any of the hardware, including the network hardware.
Oh, yeah.
And like, yeah, I'm not used to using the built-in audio out on my audio interface, and I forgot how awful it is.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if that has to do with it, or if it's because of the VST that I normally use for noise cancellation.
Honestly, it
What?
sounds like something's getting phantom power and is not grounded properly. That's the kind of hiss that it sounds like.
It's still happening.
No, not
it's,
anymore.
it hasn't happened since, but that's what it sounded like when it was happening. If
Okay,
that
well,
helps at all.
there is a quote unquote feature in the VST that I use where it will just blast noise every few seconds if the license doesn't register.
Oh, good. That sounds
Uh,
lovely.
I paid like $60 for a lifetime license, but it still has to check in with the internet every once in a while to make sure that I actually paid for it.
Perfect.
So
And when you upgrade
awful.
your stuff, obviously, that's not going to be able to check very well.
yeah,
Yeah. So what did you buy? I haven't been checking the chat very much.
So I am now running a 7950X 3D.
Okay.
And
So what you're
I've
saying
got-
is I need to upgrade my processor, so I'm better than you still.
I don't like I think you have to buy like an Epic at this point, wouldn't you?
I have a 12900K, so I think I'm honestly I'm pretty good. I think we're pretty even.
Well, I'm saying, like, does AMD do they have anything better than this in the consumer class?
I go Intel typically because I can get the
Oh, yeah.
processors for like 60% of their.
You'd have to
retail
buy
cost.
whatever the hell the last thing was that they put out. I
Yeah,
guess.
the 14900K or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, I've got that 128 gigs of DDR5 memory,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then the motherboard is this it was like $500. It's this
Oof.
Asus Pro Art thing.
See, and people think I'm weird for how much money I spend on stuff.
Well, I was like, because the main thing was that I'm giving Katie my old computer,
Yeah.
and I was like, whenever the whole thing with my previous build was I needed to upgrade, but I was limited by my budget. Now I'm not so limited.
Yep.
So
So
I
you
was
just went
like-
all out.
pretty much. I didn't buy a new GPU just because, like, one, it's really not necessary, but also, like, I just don't like the current generation of GPUs. So,
Yeah, no. I
and like,
last week I found out my hard drive, one of my hard drives in my RAID 5 build died. And so I was like, man, I don't have a spare 12 terabyte hard drive laying around. So I had to go get one, put it in, and then I shipped the other one for RMA. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy 2 additional 12 terabytes. So once the RMA comes in, I'll have 3 12 terabyte hard drives as backups.
Like-
just to be safe.
yeah, I do need to. I'm gonna have to get another NVMe drive,
Mhm.
and a bunch of other, like, just do piddly things like that. But my main goal was I want to be able to do what Mutahar talked about years ago that he does.
What's that?
Whereas I want to essentially be running, my main machine will be on Arch, and then anything I do with Windows is going to be inside of a VM with a graphics card just passed through directly to it. So all my gaming and everything can be done inside of a VM, and it'll have its own dedicated shit. I'll just pin 4 processor cores to that, so that, like, it's not going to have any performance issues on that, and then everything else will be perfect because it's Arch. I have to deal with Windows slowly shitifying itself.
Yeah, that sounds like way too much work.
It's going to occupy me, and that's
Yeah.
kind of the fun thing for me.
Well, that's good. Did you play any games this week?
Nothing new.
Okay.
Palworld still occupying me pretty hardcore.
Oh, you missed it.
Hmm?
Because you were not here. I played Dungeonborn from the Steam Next Fest, and
Uh-huh.
I hated it. I hated every moment of it.
What? Did you play this on stream?
I did.
You know they took away the artistic nudity thing, right?
I didn't see any nudity in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did you said dungeon porn?
Dungeonborn, born Borne.
Oh,
Dungeonborn.
I
you can
can't tell if this
understand
is a
why I was
bit or
so
not.
confused.
Dungeon porn.
I was like,
Nathan's favorite game.
no, you don't understand. The audio out on this fucking thing is so bad. Everything is so quiet.
Oh.
So like, I was like, dungeon porn? Why would you play that on stream?
No.
Okay.
Dungeonborn, which was like
Got
that.
it.
I believe that's the one you were talking about before. It's very similar, where you're like thrown in, and you're going through a dungeon, have to fight goblins and demons and people, and I didn't like it. It did catch me
Oh.
with one jump scare though.
Yeah.
I went to go open a chest, and it was a mimic. And the problem is, I went to go open the chest, and like you go up and you press and hold the F button for like 5 seconds to open a chest or whatever. And so I pressed the button, and I looked over at my chat, and then I looked back, and there was a mimic in front of me. And I was like, son of a bitch.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah. But like, it might have been better if I had people to play with, but it really sucks when you're a single player and you like run into a group of 3 and you're like, I'm dead. There's nothing I can do here.
Oh, okay. I see what you're. So that's not Dark and Darker.
That's what I
But-
was wondering. It's very similar
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, it sounds like it's literally just Dark and Darker, but not made by a company that
ripped off
got
stuff.
into some trouble with
Yeah.
Nexon. I believe that case was finally dismissed, by the way.
Oh, good.
So good on them.
Good on them. But yeah, it wasn't fun, but I would recommend not playing it. But it is one of the top games in the Steam Next Fest.
Yeah, because Dark and Darker is a good game.
Yeah, this is not this is not a good game. We're gonna move on. We're actually gonna talk about some news stories. This is one I'm happy you're here for it, Aroa. Canada is getting rid of the flipper.
I saw this. I was very annoyed by that.
You have a flipper, don't you?
I do. I got it because I was worried about this exact scenario.
I'm thinking about it. It's like $170, and I'm like, maybe I should just grab one.
That's also, I'm assuming, Canadian dollars.
No. I looked it up to buy it in the United States. It was like 160 or 159 or something like that.
Huh. I swear I only paid like 120 for mine, but maybe I'm just misremembering.
Well, and that might have been on Amazon before they took it off Amazon.
No, I got mine from the company. It was already off Amazon.
Interesting. Yeah. So I get both sides of this. But yes, like I think it's bad.
You can get both sides, but the thing is one side is substantially dumber than the other one and doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about.
That's true. That's true.
So like, yeah, yes. I can understand if you're a fucking moron, thinking that these are like it's some kind of criminal multi-tool, and that you'll be able to just steal cars with this thing that can barely capture car key signals and can't do replay attacks on rolling key codes, which have been around since the 90s.
Well, and also,
but, you know,
and also my thing is with the Flipper Zero, there are other products that do the exact same thing.
And better.
Yeah.
Substantially better. Yeah, the Hack RF in particular is like, it's fucking wonderful. And I want to say there's like an add-on, I think, for the Hack RF, or maybe it's a different product that is based on the Hack RF, that can do even more than that. Like, it's like a $500 piece of kit, but like that actually is like a fucking hacker multi-tool. Like, you can intercept fucking cell signals with that thing.
Yeah, and yeah, this is like the Flipper Zero is just the consumer version of it, and it's not as good. It's not as good, but it can still do a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. It's really meant to be more of like an enthusiast plaything than an actual like full-on hacking tool. Like, it's not the Hack RF is really what I would consider to be the baseline for if you want a tool of that grade, because like you can't even do Wi-Fi shit without an add-on card, and even the add-on crashes half the time whenever you try to use it. Like, it's not great for that. It's great for specifically what it's meant for, and it does a decent job, but it's really its most useful features are being able to troll people with the RF blaster or IR blaster, and being able to reset their phones whenever that was a thing for a little while. Like,
I had a friend, he was like a family friend who lived in the house behind us, and he came over and he was freaking out one time about how somebody had gotten his remote control and was outside of his house flickering the TV on and off. And I was a kid at the time, and this guy was in his like 20s. And once he left, my mom explained that she's like, "Oh no, he has schizophrenia and he's not on his medication right now." Like, oh. But what we could do with the Flipper is actually do that.
Yeah.
Actually fuck with this guy. He's a good guy. We're friends still. But yeah, like I think Linus Tech Tips did a video on the Flipper Zero, like showing off some of the stuff you can do. You can like You can make duplicates of like cards, right? Like hotel cards or
Yep,
Um,
or like work badges, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Only under specific circumstances, but yeah, like you can use it to scan and write to Amiibo.
mhm.
You can use it to emulate Amiibo. Um,
Like there's a lot of
there
cool things
you
it
can
can do. I
scan pet tags. I've done
Mhm.
that a couple times. That was really cool.
I don't I don't think it should be banned.
No,
Mainly
it shouldn't
because
be.
my main reason is, as you said earlier, like there are other tools that can do better jobs that aren't getting banned.
And so and I if this might be the same article that I read. I'm not
Mhm.
sure. I know this is the R's one. I don't remember which one I read, but uh so one a security researcher was like, so like what if you can make a copy of somebody's ID by scanning it and then printing it out? Are we gonna ban scanners and printers?
Yeah, so it says
Like
here it
when
says
do we
here
ban cameras?
it,
Like
at the very end, it says these tools are more talking about the HackRF. These tools are more sophisticated, but it's much more complicated to use them. Still, you cannot do a one button attack or one button hack nowadays. In the long run, you just make the pen testers' lives harder, and the systems around you are not as secure as they should be. If you hack a bank account using a laptop and nothing else, should we ban all laptops?
yeah, like
And yeah, like if these aren't made. They're not made to do illegal things, but people can do illegal things with them. That doesn't mean we should ban them.
in fact, if the people who were talking about this did any degree of research whatsoever, they would find that the base firmware on the flipper prevents you from doing certain illegal things.
Mhm.
Specifically, doing anything with rolling codes, which I think was the main thing that they were concerned about, was car theft. Which, to explain what that means, um, basically, whenever you push a button on your key fob to unlock or lock your car or whatever, obviously it's sending out some kind of signal to
Mhm.
do that, and the flipper can capture that signal. Uh, the like very first generation of those used the same code every time. So you push the button, it sends out a number, and then the car hears that number and does the thing. Uh, Very shortly after that, they changed it to where uh, every time you hit the button, it uses a different number. And so essentially, the key fob and the car both know which number should be the next number. And so you push the button on the key fob, it sends out the number, the car gets it, does the thing, and then goes, okay, now I'll wait for the next number. And the key
Oh,
fob will roll over to the next number.
so it's like a two-factor authentication.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it is like a TOTP sort of thing. So that, but what that means is that even if you capture the signal, you don't know what the next number is because you don't know what the algorithm is underlying that. You don't know what the random seed is for that. Like you can't determine it. Now, if you captured enough of them, maybe you could reverse engineer it,
Yeah.
but it would be substantially more difficult than what it. I'm assuming that these politicians are thinking, which is that you push button and capture the code, and now you can just steal the car.
Yeah. And you
Like
might have been able to do that like
the
I have a Prius from like 2010, right? I
no
don't know
no
if that has rolling code, but
90s
oh, the 90s.
90s, bro.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
that's whenever this was whenever rolling codes were implemented. Like yeah, you might have some manufacturers like fucking Hyundai and Kia who still didn't put immobilizers in their fucking cars even though those have been around again since the 90s. um but like that's on the car manufacturer. Like you can't take this out on a completely unrelated product. Like it, if anything, I would say that
Now,
that's probably less of a concern than cars that have built-in Wi-Fi
is
because
there
that's been shown to be much more hackable.
is there a way to upgrade the firmware on the flipper so that it can do rolling codes.
Yes.
Do you have that firmware?
Yes.
I
I
figured.
also I have so the main two things that the base firmware prevents is capturing rolling codes and using international Wi-Fi channels. So like Japan has their own dedicated Wi-Fi channel. So I obviously, like, in the first week that I had it, I got the evil firmware and removed those limitations.
Good. I'm happy for you. Now you have a newer car. Did you set up your newer car and the flipper to work together?
No, because the other thing is, if you don't do it right, you can end up making the car and the key fob out of sync,
Oh, good.
and then you have to reprogram the key fob. And while I know how to do that, I don't trust it. So I'm not
Yeah.
going to bother. I'm not going to try to fuck with it because I don't want to not be able to start my car.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's fair. Yeah, because I just got a new car and I was like, I don't think I want to do that, but maybe fuck around with my old Prius. That'd be fun. Anyway,
One last fun thing you can do with the flipper
okay.
that, again, you could say is a hacker thing, but also you can do this with any number of you can do this with any Android phone. You can make it into a USB rubber ducky. So you can, or quote unquote bad USB. So you can set up a payload on it, plug a USB cable into it, plug the other end into a computer, and then press a button to activate the payload, and it will input whatever that payload is on the computer. So you can have it hit like Windows R, open a command prompt, do whatever, and then unplug it, and then whatever you wanted to have happen will end up happening. So that's I think
so you can inject code basically, or a virus or whatever.
Yeah, you can do fun things like have Mario pop up on the screen and go, I like your computer. Can I have it? And then a nuke shows up on the screen, and then it blue screens.
I saw a new USB device that has I don't know what it has in it. I just saw the headline basically where you plug in and it has like a self-destruct thing where I think it must have a password that if you're not able to, bypass the password after so many attempts, it'll heat up the drive to 100C to kill the drive.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's neat.
Anyway, we are going to move on and we're going to talk about some new stuff from Ars Technica. We don't like cable TV companies, and pretty much anytime a cable TV company says, like, anytime they support something, we don't support it, and anytime they don't support something, we're like, that's probably a good thing. We should probably support that.
It's just generally good policy, yeah.
Yeah, and so they are arguing that early termination fees are actually good.
I saw this headline. I didn't actually read the article.
Yeah.
What the fuck is their reasoning here?
Their reasoning is that they're able to offer better discounts for new subscribers because of the early termination fees. Because they can say, say their package is normally $100 a month, they can offer it for half price for $50 a month for 12 months. Because of those early termination fees, and they're able to say, these people aren't going to quit for that 12 months, so we're going to be able to get more money out of them. So it's financially better for us. And and those early termination fees dissuade people from canceling. So that way we can guarantee that they're going to be with us for a year or two.
So it's so they can bully people.
Basically. And it says it says in response to these marketplace realities, some cable operators offer discounts for consumers who choose to agree to remain customers for a longer term. Longer subscriber commitments decrease the cable operator's subscriber acquisition costs and provide a more predictable revenue stream, which in turn enables a cable operator to offer discounted monthly rates. Cable companies also recently urged the U.S. to scrap a click-to-cancel regulation that aims to make it easier for consumers to cancel services. May experience issues with active. That's funny. That's awesome. So,
isn't that great?
Aroa just posted something in the chat talking about his. I assume this is your key for the VST you have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And their servers are down.
Yeah. Which
Yep.
means that my already activated fucking software is no longer activated. I love 2024. It's great.
Yeah. The NCTA opposes partial month credits as well. I didn't read through all of this part, but I assume that partial month credits are a good thing.
Yeah. Because it would mean you can cancel like halfway through the month and then get whatever part of the month was left prorated.
It
as
says
a
here,
refund.
It says here, prohibiting EFT or ETFs, which is the early termination fees, and whole month billing would increase prices and impair competition. So what they're saying is, the partial month credits, like say you start on the 16th, they will bill you for the full month. They will, and so and for me, when that really upset me. So, when I moved, my internet service provider, I had to pay I ended up having to pay for an extra month because they're like, oh no, you can't transfer your service. You have to start service at the new place. And so because I started my service the same month that I ended my service, like I moved in the middle of the month, they charged me for 2 months of internet service instead of just transferring it over to the new one. It was bullshit.
Yeah, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, I was pretty mad, but I was like, I can't. There's nothing I can do, which is what they do to you. There's no other better service provider in my area.
You know what really blows is that you didn't have the convenience of switching to another provider, because I did that. I switched from Charter/Spectrum to AT&T.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just didn't pay Charter/Spectrum for something. It might have just been my last month of service, because I canceled it, and then they still wanted to charge me for the next month, and I just didn't pay it.
Yeah.
And then I think it took 2 years for them to finally send it to a collections agency for literally like $60. Like, and so I got the letter in the mail. I was like, oh, that's cool. I still ain't paying it. And then some arbitrary length of time later, they send me a quote unquote settlement letter where they're like, okay, we'll take 20. And I was like, all right. So like that's kind of what I tend to do with just about anything involving debt or some bullshit debt that
I can't do that.
So cheap.
I just pay everything. I pay everything. I pay it early. It's bad. And I know I could game the system a little bit better, but I don't do that. So yeah, they're against the NCTA, which I don't know what the heck that stands for and don't want to look it up. Is basically the cable companies and DirecTV saying, hey, we don't want you to have we want you to have early termination fees. We want you to have to pay for the full month. And there was something else that they're really bad at too. It was the button, the easy cancel button. And they're we're against all of these things.
That would be really hard to implement.
Yeah, it'd be really we would have to have somebody on the website for 3 minutes to make that button. I don't think we could do it. So yeah, I am not a fan of cable companies And I think YouTube TV has just surpassed DirecTV as
I think you're right. Yeah.
So they're like the number 5 or number 4 now for live service TVs. So good for YouTube TV. It's still way too expensive. It's like 70 something bucks a month now.
Ooh, so I
Yeah.
miss YouTube.
Too much. They were
I'll just
when
keep
they
paying
when they were
25 or whatever for premium.
when it was $35 a month for YouTube TV, it was definitely worth it. When it was $45, it was worth it. And now they're like 75, and I'm just like, I can't
A
support
lot
it.
of money a month.
That's a lot of money.
You know why that it worked out like that though? Is
Why?
they were probably operating at a loss initially
Uh-huh.
to try to get people hooked in. And then they know that plenty of people will be like, what am I gonna do? I gotta
Yeah.
have my TV.
Yeah. The FCC plan got support from states in New York, Hawaii, South Carolina. More support came from a joint filing by local government officials in Massachusetts, District of Columbia, Oregon, and Texas. So I am very happy that our current FCC is trying to crack down on these stupid things that they're doing and hopefully make it better. There was another one that we spoke about before where the cable companies were like, and internet providers were like, see, but we can't like show the prices of stuff because that would be really hard to like itemize it all. So we're not gonna.
Yeah, I think it was internet companies.
Yeah.
Because they were almost always like some kind of hidden administrative fees or whatever, and they would just bundle everything under one big thing. Because even though it's all computerized, it would be a really big pain to, have it display like 6 more lines of what you're actually charging for.
Yeah, it'd be really hard, and like
people might get mad.
They might get mad, and honestly, we make up a lot of the shit. It's just bullshit. Like, and we don't want them to see that it's bullshit. Like, it would be funny if they're like, bullshit fee number 1. $3. We're gonna move on to our last story. Our last story is about Fortnite, Aroa's favorite game.
Yeah, I haven't played it that much since Palworld came out.
Oh yeah, because you were playing Lego Fortnite for a while, and now they're doing. Now they're gonna implement a lot more Disney stuff because Disney is putting $1.5 billion into the company, so that they can make some Fortnite stuff. To be fair, there was the reason why we have we have Lego Fortnite was because Kirk Christensen, who founded the Lego Group, gave $2 billion at some point. So that's
cool.
the whole reason why they have the Lego Fortnite stuff that you actually enjoyed.
Yeah, I was worried. I didn't know about that actually. I knew about Disney giving them $1.5 billion.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh shit. Don't buy Epic. Disney, please don't buy Epic.
They're not buying it. They're
they're
not buying
obviously
it.
not if Lego gave them $2 billion.
They're worth a lot more than that apparently. So they're putting a $1.5 billion in equity stake, so that way they can get more Star Wars and Pixar and Marvel content in Fortnite, which makes sense.
Yeah. Like, fuck. I think probably. I wouldn't be surprised if close to a third of all the licensed characters and skins and shit in Fortnite were Disney properties.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine Disney probably gets a cutback from any sales, so it's printing money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I accidentally went to the comment section on TechSpot, and people were just complaining. Yeah, they were just complaining about complaining about Disney being like, oh, it's like we're super woke and it's gonna be awful. And I'm just like, I was talking to Connor before the podcast that like we were talking about the Marvel movies and how like they started off pretty good with Iron Man and stuff, and now they're not great. And it doesn't have to do anything with like being woke or anything like that. It's just they're so formulaic, and within 5 minutes we can be like, okay, we know what's going to happen in these movies. And
Yeah.
that's why they're bad.
Yeah.
And I still think that Disney investing in Fortnite is probably going to be good for Disney. They're probably going to make a ton of money from having Obi-Wan and Anakin in Fortnite if they don't already. Do they already have?
Actually, I don't know for sure. I know there's some Star Wars characters in there. You've got like Shadow the Hedgehog Anakin in there, whatever the fuck. The one Kylo, that's it.
Kylo Ren.
Kylo.
That's not
You got
Anakin.
Kylo Ren. You know what I mean. He's
Okay.
just another Anakin. He's just emo boy.
So we've got an Imperial stormtrooper. We've got Finn, who's the sidekick in the new movies. You got Rey. You've got Sith Trooper, which is the red stormtroopers. Kylo Ren. Zori Bliss. No idea who that is.
Yeah, there's a lot of random
Carrie
side
Russell's
characters.
supporting character. Carrie Russell was in that movie? Anyway, Carrie Russell was in Rise of Skywalker as Zori Bliss. You got the Mandalorian. You've got Boba Fett. Fennec Shand, Boba Fett's partner in crime. Kraston, who is a Wookiee, but not... He's a Wookiee bounty hunter. He's not Chewie. You got Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, and it looks like there's three different versions of Luke Skywalker. You got Princess Leia, Han Solo, Darth Maul, clone troopers. There's a lot, apparently. Padme.
Yeah.
Apparently, apparently Padme is a character you can play and fight with. I never understood that, but okay. Anakin Skywalker, and then you got the 501st Troopers and 212th Battalion Troopers.
I'm gonna be honest, that list is way longer than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, me too.
Let me tell you, whenever you said Darth Vader, I was like, oh yeah, the last time that I got into Fortnite was the Dragon Ball Z event, and I remember because I was palling around with the Darth Vader. It was like flying around and shooting Kamehameha waves. And I was like, this game is so fucking wild, man.
It's amazing to me how much shit they just throw in there, and it's like, I guess it works.
It's amazing to me that the rights holders just don't give a shit.
Yeah. Like, a lot of times, companies are very protective. Like fucking Disney.
Yeah.
Like, when are we going to see fucking Mickey Mouse flying around making Kamehameha waves?
Like it's just so great that you have characters that either canonically don't fight at all, or like only fight using melee weapons or like magic or whatever, and they just run around with a fucking like AK-47 or a rocket launcher.
And if that's not wild enough for you, Peter Griffin's hanging out with Solid Snake.
Yes.
Yep.
It's Peter Griffin Peter Griffin can drive a car with Darth Vader or Goku on the turret behind him. Like
they said that they did have to jack him up. They had to give him steroids.
It's basically Peter Griffin's head on a default model, which I get it. It's fine.
That's how the whole game worked. And I think there was one episode where Peter got
buff,
plastic surgery, and that was what they derived the model from.
Yeah, and they came out and they're like, we had to do it because we would have had to make a fat character model, and that would have taken a lot of time and money.
Well, it's not even time and money. It's just like it's a shooter. If your model can't hide behind a tree because his belly's sticking out, like you are at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
I would
But-
do it anyways because it's funny. But
Yeah, I would. They should have two variants. They should have a fat
I-
variant.
I'm just saying I get it. I understand why they made that particular decision.
Right. But yeah, there are a lot of characters. I'm not going to go through all of the. I just went through all the Star Wars characters, and that took me
Yeah,
like 3 minutes.
You literally can't. You
yeah.
couldn't.
We could. It would just
By the time you
It would-
finish the
it would-
list, they release more.
Yeah,
That's
and
true.
it would take hours.
that you can get a lot, and there's a lot of discontinued character models that you can still play as them, but you can't buy them anymore. I believe.
Yeah, I hate that policy. It's everything that was in the battle pass.
Yeah.
Anything that was part of the battle pass will never come to the store, supposedly.
that. Yeah, there were. Can you still get like the Dragon Ball characters and stuff though, or did that end?
You can buy certain Dragon Ball characters. I don't think you can get Goku, for example, but
Yeah.
you can buy Vegeta.
What
And
about?
you can buy the Goku Dark or Goku Black. That's
Black,
it.
yeah. Now, what about what really matters to me, which is the wrestling characters?
Some of them you can buy John Cena.
Okay, because I know there.
And
I think there were three.
a couple of girls that my sister-in-law bought whenever they came back into the store recently.
Oh, that's cool. Good for them. So yeah, there's some wrestling characters. I knew John Cena was in. I didn't know if there were any other male characters.
I think there are, but I couldn't think of them.
Yeah. So it's an interesting game, and so
They
Good for
just
them.
they're adding like NASCAR racers, I think, to the game because of the racing mode that they just added.
they added a racing mode.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Oh, and there's
it's just it's a racing mode that uses Rocket League's physics.
interesting. And they're also
Yeah.
adding they have the music, which
Mhm.
I think they've added some music since the first
They
since they
they are
first
adding
started it.
music. They are adding at least 2 songs every Thursday.
And here's the big thing is we don't have it as a story, but I know you're excited for it. They are releasing new peripherals.
Yeah.
There's a new guitar coming out that should be compatible with it at some point.
Yep. They said that they plan on adding full support for for instrument controllers at some point in the future. The charts that are in the game will just automatically change to ones that are compatible with guitar and drum controllers.
Good. And so they announced it was a third party company, right? That announced that they're going to make new wireless controllers.
Mhm.
Do you know the price of that?
I don't think it's been announced yet.
Yeah, I was.
It'll be no less than $80, I would imagine. I would not be surprised if it was closer to like 120.
I
to
was
be
thinking it was
honest.
going to be over 100.
Yeah.
And part of me wants to buy one, but part of me also wants the Fortnite music to have better music because there's not a
Yeah.
lot of it right now.
No, there's not, and I get it. Like they added a couple of Nine Inch Nails tracks a couple weeks ago,
Mhm.
one of which was like already in Rock Band, and it's like fine. I think actually both of them were already in Rock Band. Now that I think about it, but it's like whatever. They might get there, they might not. The most important thing for most people that give a shit is just the fact that they're releasing a new guitar controller because guitar controllers are wearing out left
Yeah.
and right.
Yeah. I know mine one of mine is not doing well, like the flipper part just isn't doing well, honestly.
And it's the new controller is actually like it has a couple of compelling changes to the actual hardware, like or at least the design, because it has an analog stick now,
Oh, nice.
which it's integrated up at the top of the neck. And I never would have thought of that, but it's actually like a perfect place to put an analog stick.
For what? For what
just
exactly?
To just to
menus?
navigate menus and shit.
Mm.
Like just because like they're the bass or the normal guitar setup only lets you go up and down.
Yeah.
And like yeah, there's a D-pad, but it's on the front of the guitar usually, and it's in a really awkward spot. And so just being able to put your thumb up there, like, just makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, it's just a really nice little thing. I'm not a fan of the fact that it isn't a clicky strum bar, but it's fine. Like, whatever. And I believe the guitar, it does not. I don't think the neck completely detaches. Instead, it's on like a hinge that flips back, which I think is just as good. Because then you don't have to worry about it like eventually popping off
So
or not being able to reattach.
when these go on sale, how fast are you going to buy one?
Oh, if they have pre-orders available at some point, I will pre-order them.
Yeah, I might do that. Anyway, we're done. We're done with this podcast. It actually took me a while to scrounge up news stories this week. I don't know what's going on, but like there wasn't a bunch of news stories going on this week. Might have had something to do with this like big game that's happening today that none of us care about.
I didn't even know it was today.
It's apparently today. That's what I hear. But yeah, so thank you for being here, Connor.
I was here.
And thank you for being here, Aurora. Aurora.
Yeah, I showed up eventually.
And we'll be back next week with more news stories. So just so you guys know, I'm going to be here next week. I'll be here the week after, I believe. And then I'm gone for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Boy.
I'll be in Germany. So.
Oh boy, I better get FL Studio working.
Oh yeah.
Again.
gotta make some new entrance music. We'll be back next week. Thank you for being here. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.